Okay, welcome to my mathematics class. With me here is the question, as you can see on the chalkboard, and this question carries 2 marks. Okay, now let us see how we can solve this equation. Okay, solution. Okay, so the first thing that we are supposed to do here is that we are going to get rid of these brackets. How? By expanding them. Okay, so we need to expand this one. Then thereafter, that is when we can proceed now to solve for x. Yes, so now let us do as I said. So how are we going to expand this question? Okay, let me write it down here. Cos 0. Okay, so this is the equation. So now we are going to say when expanding, we always multiply. First, you start with the first term, which is 3x. So you say 3x times x. The answer is going to be 3x squared. Okay? Again, you come back to this same one, 3x, the first term. 3x times positive 2. The answer will be positive 6x. Okay? Then when you are done with the first term, you go to the second term. Remember, this one is a negative 5. So even when multiplying, you should also carry even the sign it has. So here we are saying negative 5 times x. We are going to have negative 5x. Again, we come to this same one. Negative 5 times positive 2 there. We are going to have negative 10. Okay, equals 0. Okay, so from there, I think this is 6x and this is 5x. They can simplify further. So we are going to say 3x squared. We just bring down this one. Then here we are going to say positive 6x minus 5x. We are going to have positive x. Okay, then minus 10 equals 0. Yeah, so now from there, you can now tell that this question was the quadratic equation. Okay, now how do we solve the quadratic equation? Remember, quadratic equation, we have got about actually 3 methods that you can use. 1, factorization method. 2, you can use the completing square method. 3, you can use the formula method. Now in this case, let us go for the one which is simpler, okay? And that one is the factorization method. So for factorization method, what are some of the things or items that you are supposed to know first? I think there we need to know the product. That is the first one. Then from there we have to know the sum. Then from sum we have to know the factor. Okay, these 3 items, they are very, very important when you are using the factorization method. Yes. So now, how do we find now the product? Since we have identified that these are the 3 things that we are supposed to know. So now, how do we find? We start with the first one, which is the product. So how we find the product? We always multiply the coefficient of the first term, that term with a square, times the constant number. So the coefficient of 3x here is 3. So 3 times the constant, in this case we have negative 10. 3 times negative 10. The answer will be negative 30. That will be our product. Then when we come to sum, that one is a straight away. You just go direct to a middle term, which is x. Then you pick the coefficient of that same term. So x, the coefficient of x here is 1. So you are going to put 1 here. Okay, now when finding the factors. When finding the factors now, that is where now we are going to look for a number. 2 numbers. When we multiply them, we should get negative 30. And when we add those same 2 numbers, we should get a 1. Why? Because this is product simply means multiply. Sum simply means add. So what are those 2 numbers that we are supposed to have? Okay, so now for you to identify those 2 numbers, One thing that you must understand is actually to look for the products, or I mean the factors of 30, which has a difference of 1 in between. What are those factors? They are main actually, because we can say factors of 30, they are main. 1 is the factor of 30, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4, those are examples, they are main. So now let us dwell much on those 2 factors that has a difference of 1, because the sum that we have here is 1. Remember 5. 5 is a factor of 30, and also 6. 6 is also a factor of 30. Now the difference between these 2 is 1, which is the sum. That is how we identify the factors. Okay? So now we are going to use these same numbers. So we are going to write 6 and what? 5. Now let us come back to the product itself. This one has got a negative and this one has got a positive. So now between these 2 numbers that we've written here, which one should carry a negative sign? Okay, so here we are going to get the smaller number, which is 5. 5 should carry a negative what? Sign. Because when we add 6 plus negative 5, we are going to have positive 1. Then when we multiply 6 times negative 5, we are going to have negative 30. So now here you need to be very careful with sign, because if we are to put the negative here, it means when we add, we are going to have a negative 1, which is not the case according to the sum that you have identified already. Okay, now having done this, we are now going to substitute on the middle term, okay, using those 2 factors that we have found. So in this case, our middle term is this x, okay? So this one now is going to be substituted by these 2 factors that we've come up with. So how? We are now going to put, this is positive, remember, so we are going to say plus 6x. We put the variable there, which is there, okay? Then this 5 is negative now, negative 5x again. Then we have negative 10, then equals 0. Okay, then from there now we can factorize. That's why we are saying this one is called the factorization method, because it deals with the factorization. So let us factorize. We are going to group this. Okay, then we say what is the common factor between 3x squared plus 6x? The common factor there is 3x. Then we are going to put that one outside the bracket. Then 3x into 3x squared, we are going to remain with x. Then 3x into 6x plus 2. Okay, then remember here we have a negative. What is the common factor between 5x minus 10? There, the common factor is 10, is 5, so to say. 5, okay? It's the one that we are going to put outside. So, negative 5 into negative 5x, the answer will be positive x. Okay, then negative 5 into negative 10, it's positive what? 2. Okay, because negative into negative, the answer is positive. Okay, then equals 0. Then from there, we are going to get now the scalars. We call those, be it a letter or a number outside the bracket, a scalar. So we are going to get these 2 numbers, okay, that are outside. Then we group them together. We are going to say 3x minus 5. Okay, remember here, they are all the same. So just pick one. Okay, equals 0. And one thing that I want you to know on this one is that always make sure that the factors inside the bracket should be the same. Once you have a different here, just know that somewhere you have made a mistake. Okay, so as you can see here, we have x plus 2, even this side, x plus 2. Then from there, we can now say 3x minus 5 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. Okay? Then 3x equals, when this one goes, the other side to be positive, 5 plus 0. Okay, let me indicate it to be like this, or x equals 0. This one will become negative. Okay, so we can use this other part of the body. Yes, so from there we are saying 3x equals 0 plus 5, the answer will be 5. Or x equals 0 minus 2, the answer is negative 2. Then here, we want to remain with x. Okay, so we are going to say divide by 3 both sides. Even here, 3. Then we cancel. So x is equals to 5 over 3. Then here we have x is equals to negative 2. So answers we have 2. X is equals to 5 over 3, or x is equals to negative 2. Thank you so very much for your cooperation.